In a small village nestled within the lush hills of central Mexico, a wave of anticipation swept through the town. Every year, as the chill of November settled in, the people began to prepare for Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. Bright orange Sempasicle flowers, or marigolds, known for their vibrant color and distinct fragrance, were gathered by the armful. These flowers would later be used to guide the spirits of the deceased back to the world of the living. The streets were lined with stalls selling pan de muerto, a type of sweetbread, sugar skulls, and candles of every shape and size. It was a celebration that blurred the lines between life and death, where the souls of the dead were invited back to partake in the joys of life with their living relatives. But this was not a day of mourning. For the people of Mexico, and for many others across the world who honor the dead, death was not something to be feared. It was a continuation, a new chapter in the eternal story of existence. The celebration of Dia de los Muertos was rooted in the ancient beliefs of the Aztecs, who revered the dead and believed in a complex afterlife. In the time of the Aztec civilization, the dead embarked on a journey to Mictlan, the underworld, where they would traverse through 9 levels of challenges and obstacles before finally reaching eternal rest. The living were responsible for offering food, water, and other gifts to aid the souls in their journey. When the Spanish arrived in the Americas in the 16th century, they brought with them their own religious traditions, including All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, celebrated on November 1st and 2nd, respectively. The merging of Catholicism with indigenous beliefs gave birth to the modern-day Dia de los Muertos, blending ancient customs with Catholic rituals. Over time, November 1st became Dia de los Inocentes, or the Day of the Innocents, in which the souls of children who had passed were honored. November 2nd remained the day to celebrate and remember deceased adults. Despite the influence of Catholicism, the core philosophy of the Aztec beliefs endured. Death was not an end, but a new beginning. The beauty of Dia de los Muertos lies in its defiance of fear. While many cultures view death with sorrow or dread, in Mexico, death is a cause for celebration. The dead are remembered with laughter, music, and stories. They are not gone. They are simply in another realm, waiting for the time when they can briefly return to enjoy the warmth and love of their families once again. At the heart of Dia de los Muertos is the ofrenda, or altar. Families across Mexico, and increasingly across the world, create these elaborate altars in their homes, filling them with photographs, candles, and items that represent the deceased. The ofrenda serves as a kind of spiritual bridge, connecting the world of the living with the world of the dead. Each element on the altar holds significant meaning and contributes to the sacred atmosphere that invites the souls of the departed to return. The first and most important part of the ofrenda is the photograph of the deceased, often placed in the center of the altar. Surrounding the photo are offerings that the deceased would have loved in life, favorite foods, drinks, trinkets, and even personal belongings. It is believed that the spirits of the dead return hungry and thirsty after their long journey from the underworld, so the ofrenda is laden with food. Families prepare dishes like tamales, mole, and atole, a warm corn-based drink, as well as sweets like pan de muerto. Each food item has its own significance. Pan de muerto, for example, is decorated with bone-shaped pieces of dough to symbolize the cycle of life and death. The presence of marigolds, or Sempasicle, is essential. The vibrant color and potent scent of these flowers are said to help guide the spirits back to the world of the living. The petals are often scattered in a path from the front door to the ofrenda, creating a floral trail for the spirits to follow. Candles are lit to illuminate the way, and the scent of copal incense, a resinous substance used by the Aztecs in religious ceremonies, fills the air, purifying the space and making it ready for the spirit's arrival. Another iconic symbol found on the ofrenda is the calavera, or sugar skull. These skulls, often decorated with colorful icing, represent the sweetness of life and the inevitability of death. They are playful rather than macabre, emphasizing that death is a natural part of life cycle. Many calaveras are personalized with the names of the deceased, further strengthening the connection between the living and the dead. Building the ofrenda is a deeply personal act. Families gather together, share stories, and remember their loved ones as they decorate the altar. It is not just a physical creation, but an emotional and spiritual one as well. In preparing the ofrenda, families are reminded of the importance of memory and the enduring bond between the living and the dead. As the sun begins to set on the evening of November 1st, families throughout Mexico make their way to the cemeteries where their ancestors are buried. The graveyards, which on most days are places of quiet reflection, become lively with activity. Graves are cleaned and adorned with candles, flowers, and food. The air buzzes with excitement as families prepare to spend the night celebrating with their deceased loved ones. Cemeteries across the country come alive with the sound of laughter, music, and conversation. It is a time for storytelling, where old family tales are shared and the legacy of the departed is kept alive. In many regions, mariachis and other musicians roam the graveyards, playing joyful songs as families sing and dance. This may seem unusual to those unfamiliar with the tradition, but for the people of Mexico, it is perfectly natural. The dead are not mourned with tears. They are celebrated with the same enthusiasm as if they were still living. In some communities, it is believed that the spirits of the dead actually sit with their families during this celebration. It is a sacred reunion, one that transcends time and space. Candles illuminate the grave sites, casting a warm, flickering glow across the cemetery. The marigold petals create a vibrant contrast against the dark earth, and the scent of flowers, incense, and food fills the air. This night is not just about remembering those who have passed, but also about reaffirming life. It is a time for families to reconnect, to express gratitude for the lives they have shared, and to reflect on their own mortality. The act of spending the night in the cemetery, surrounded by the dead, serves as a reminder that life is fleeting and that death is an inevitable part of the human experience. For many, this celebration is a profound spiritual experience. It is a reminder that death is not the end, but a continuation of life in another form. The bond between the living and the dead remains unbroken, and through the act of remembrance, the dead continue to live on in the hearts and minds of the living. While Dia de los Muertos is uniquely Mexican, the tradition of honoring the dead extends far beyond the borders of Mexico. All Souls' Day, celebrated on November 2nd in many Christian countries, shares a similar purpose: to remember and pray for the souls of the deceased. Though the customs differ, the underlying theme of love and remembrance remains universal. In Italy, families visit the graves of their loved ones, leaving flowers and lighting candles. Chrysanthemums, often associated with mourning in Europe, are placed on graves as a symbol of death and the afterlife. In Spain, the day is marked by quiet reflection and prayer. The gravesites are cleaned and adorned with candles, and families gather to attend special masses dedicated to the deceased. In the Philippines, All Souls' Day is a much more vibrant affair. Families flock to cemeteries to clean and decorate the graves of their ancestors. Much like in Mexico, they bring food and drinks to share, and many families spend the night at the gravesite, celebrating and remembering their loved ones. The atmosphere is festive, with music, laughter, and even games. It is a time for reunion, both with the living and the dead. In Poland and Lithuania, the observance of All Souls' Day is marked by the lighting of thousands of candles at gravesites. The sight of cemeteries aglow with candlelight is both beautiful and somber. The candles are meant to guide the souls of the departed to eternal peace, and the act of lighting them is a gesture of love and remembrance. Even in places as far away as Japan, the connection between the living and the dead is celebrated. During the Obon Festival, held in August, families honor their ancestors by lighting lanterns to guide their spirits back to the world of the living. Traditional dances, known as Bon Odori, are performed, and offerings of food and drink are made at family altars. Like Dia de los Muertos, the Obon Festival emphasizes the cyclical nature of life and death and the enduring connection between the living and the dead. In many cultures, death is seen as something to be feared, a final, irreversible end to life. But Dia de los Muertos offers a different perspective. In Mexico, death is not viewed as the opposite of life, but as a natural part of the human experience. It is not something to be dreaded, but something to be embraced. This attitude toward death is symbolized in the calaveras, or sugar skulls, that are so central to the celebration. These skulls, with their bright colors and intricate designs, are not morbid but playful. They remind the living that death is not something to be feared, but something to be accepted with grace and even joy. The kalakas, or skeletal figures often seen during the festivities, further illustrate this idea. These skeletons are depicted engaging in everyday activities, dancing, playing music, riding bicycles. They are not ghosts or spirits in the traditional sense, but representations of the dead living on in the afterlife. They remind the living that death is not the end, but a continuation of life in another form. For many people, especially those unfamiliar with the tradition, the sight of skeletons and skulls can be unsettling. But for those who celebrate Dia de los Muertos, these symbols are filled with joy and life. The kalakas dance and laugh, just as the living do, and they serve as a reminder that death is a part of life's cycle. The dead are not mourned with sorrow, but celebrated with love and laughter. In celebrating Dia de los Muertos, people are reminded of the importance of living fully and embracing life's impermanence. Death is not something to be feared, but something to be understood and accepted. It is a natural part of the human experience, and through the act of remembering those who have passed, the living are reminded of their own mortality and the preciousness of life. In recent years, Dia de los Muertos has gained international recognition, particularly through its depiction in popular culture. Films like Disney's Coco have brought the vibrant celebration to audiences around the world, showcasing the richness of Mexican culture and the depth of the tradition. The film, which follows the journey of a young boy named Miguel into the land of the dead, beautifully captures the essence of Dia de los Muertos, a celebration of life, memory, and family. Coco resonated with audiences across the globe, introducing many to the concept of honoring the dead with joy and reverence. The film's portrayal of the ofrenda, the importance of family, and the belief in the continued presence of the dead brought the traditions of Dia de los Muertos into the global spotlight. It sparked a greater interest in Mexican culture and the meaning behind the colorful celebrations. However, as Dia de los Muertos becomes more commercialized and widely recognized, there's concern among some that its true meaning could be lost. The vibrant imagery of sugar skulls and marigolds has been appropriated by marketers, sometimes detached from its cultural and spiritual significance. For many who celebrate the holiday traditionally, it remains a deeply sacred and personal experience. It is not just about the outward displays of color and festivity, but about the emotional and spiritual connection with the dead. For those who continue to celebrate Dia de los Muertos in its traditional form, the heart of the festival remains unchanged. It is about love, remembrance, and the enduring bond between the living and the dead. It is a time to honor the past, celebrate the present, and acknowledge the cycle of life and death. The beauty of Dia de los Muertos and All Souls' Day lies in their shared message, that love transcends death. No matter how much time passes, the connection between the living and the dead remains strong. Through the act of remembrance, the dead are kept alive in spirit and their legacy endures. Death is often seen as the great unknown, a final, mysterious chapter in life's journey. But Dia de los Muertos teaches us that death is not something to be feared. It is simply another step in the eternal dance of existence. It is a reminder that life is precious because it is fleeting and that love, above all, endures. As the candles burn low and the marigolds begin to wilt, the celebration comes to an end. But the love and memories shared during Dia de los Muertos linger. The dead return to the underworld, but they are not gone. They remain in the hearts of the living, waiting for the next year's celebration when they can once again walk among the living. Whether you find yourself lighting a candle for All Souls' Day in a European cathedral, sharing a meal at a cemetery in the Philippines, or building an ofrenda in a small Mexican village, the message is clear. Death is not an end, but a continuation of the journey. Life is precious, death is inevitable, but love transcends all. And as the marigolds scatter in the wind and the last candle flickers out, we are reminded that we are never truly alone. Our loved ones, though gone from this world, walk beside us in memory and in spirit. Dia de los Muertos and All Souls Day are celebrations of this eternal connection, a reminder that death is not the end, but a part of life's eternal cycle. As the tradition of Dia de los Muertos continues to gain global recognition, it encourages people from all walks of life to reflect on the concepts of life and death. While it is deeply rooted in Mexican culture, the festival resonates universally because of its profound exploration of human mortality, remembrance, and the connections we share with those who have passed on. Death is a subject that many cultures avoid or approach with trepidation, often viewing it as a dark and solemn event. Dia de los Muertos, however, offers a radically different perspective. By celebrating death, it reframes it as a natural continuation of life, an inevitable transition that does not sever the bond between the living and the deceased. This idea is not only spiritually uplifting, but also deeply healing for those who are grieving. The holiday allows for mourning to coexist with joy, creating space for families to remember their loved ones in a way that emphasizes the continuation of their presence rather than their absence. This emphasis on celebrating the lives of the deceased allows families to process grief in a way that acknowledges the pain of loss, but also honors the joy that the departed brought to the world. In this way, Dia de los Muertos serves as an antidote to the fear of death, offering comfort in the belief that those who have passed are never truly gone, but continue to exist in another form, waiting for the yearly reunion when they can once again be close to their families. One of the most powerful messages of Dia de los Muertos is the importance of memory. The festival teaches us that memory has the power to transcend the finality of death. As long as we continue to remember and honor our loved ones, they remain alive in our hearts and minds. This idea is beautifully captured in the phrase commonly associated with the holiday, "To live in hearts we leave behind is not to die." This principle extends beyond just family members. Many ofrendas include tributes to historical figures, artists, or public figures who have had a lasting impact on the world. This practice highlights the idea that we all leave a legacy and that the way we live our lives can influence how we are remembered. It's a call to live with intention and purpose, knowing that the mark we leave on the world will outlive our physical existence. Memory also serves as a way of preserving cultural traditions. Dia de los Muertos itself has evolved over the centuries, blending indigenous Mexican beliefs with Catholic traditions, but at its core, it remains a celebration of life, death, and the continuity of the human spirit. By passing these traditions down from one generation to the next, families ensure that their heritage, beliefs, and values endure, even as the world around them changes. In this way, Dia de los Muertos is not just about remembering individuals, but also about preserving the cultural identity of a people. It is a reminder that we are all part of a larger story, and that by honoring the past, we enrich the present and prepare for the future. As Dia de los Muertos continues to grow in popularity beyond Mexico, the celebration is taking on new forms in different parts of the world. In the United States, for example, communities with Mexican heritage, particularly in states like California, Texas, and Arizona, have embraced the holiday as a way to celebrate their cultural roots. Parades, festivals, and public ofrendas have become a common sight, drawing not only Mexican Americans, but people of all backgrounds who are curious about the vibrant traditions. Major cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco host large-scale Dia de los Muertos celebrations that feature altars, art installations, live music, and dance performances. These events have become a way for people to connect with the holiday's themes, even if they don't share the same cultural background. The global rise of Dia de los Muertos has helped foster a greater appreciation for Mexican culture, while also encouraging people from different walks of life to consider how they approach death and remembrance. However, with this growing popularity comes the challenge of maintaining the holiday's cultural and spiritual integrity. Some critics have raised concerns about the commercialization of Dia de los Muertos, as businesses and brands capitalize on its imagery, often stripping it of its deep cultural significance. Sugar skull designs, for instance, have been co-opted for everything from makeup to clothing, and while these symbols are visually appealing, they are sometimes used without an understanding of their deeper meaning. For those who continue to celebrate Dia de los Muertos in its traditional form, it is essential to ensure that the holiday's core values of remembrance, family, and the celebration of life and death remain intact. As the holiday spreads across borders, there is an opportunity for people to learn about and appreciate the richness of Mexican culture while avoiding the pitfalls of cultural appropriation. At its heart, Dia de los Muertos is a celebration of humanity in all its forms. It is a reminder that life and death are inextricably linked and that one cannot exist without the other. By embracing both, we can live more fully with an understanding that death is not something to fear, but something to honor. This perspective resonates deeply with people from all over the world, regardless of their cultural or religious background. Whether through Dia de los Muertos, All Souls Day, or other traditions that honor the dead, there is a universal human desire to stay connected to those who have passed on. These celebrations give people the space to grieve, reflect, and ultimately find peace in the knowledge that love endures beyond the grave. The enduring appeal of Dia de los Muertos lies in its ability to bring people together in a shared acknowledgement of life's impermanence. The holiday is both deeply personal and profoundly communal, allowing individuals to honor their loved ones while also participating in a collective experience of remembrance and celebration. In a world that often feels fragmented, Dia de los Muertos offers a sense of unity, reminding us that we are all part of the same cycle of life and death. As the candles burn low and the marigolds begin to fade, the celebration of Dia de los Muertos draws to a close. But its message endures. The holiday serves as a poignant reminder that while death may be inevitable, it is not the end. Through the love we share, the memories we hold, and the traditions we pass down, the dead continue to live on. The legacy of Dia de los Muertos is one of connection. It connects the living to the dead, the past to the present, and individuals to their community. It teaches us that death is not something to be feared, but something to be embraced as part of life's journey. It reminds us to live with purpose, to love deeply, and to honor those who have come before us. In a world that often moves too fast, Dia de los Muertos offers a moment of pause. It invites us to reflect on the lives of those who have passed and to consider the legacy we will leave behind. It encourages us to celebrate the beauty of life while acknowledging its fragility. And it reassures us that, even in death, we are never truly alone. As the festival comes to an end and the spirits return to the world beyond, the living are left with a sense of peace. The memories of the dead are cherished, their presence felt, and their legacy secured. Dia de los Muertos is not just a celebration of death, but a celebration of life in all its forms, a reminder that love endures, life continues, and death is but a part of the eternal dance. As the candles slowly burn out and the vibrant marigold petals begin to fade, Dia de los Muertos is not only a celebration of life and death, but also a profound reminder that love, memories, and connections never truly disappear. No matter how much time passes, no matter how far the distance between us and those who have left this world, they remain forever present in our hearts and minds. Each incense stick, each flower petal carries with it the love, memories, and gratitude for the ones we have cherished. Dia de los Muertos gives us the opportunity to view death not as something to fear, but as an inevitable part of the human journey. It is a reminder to live passionately, to cherish every moment, and to leave our mark on the world. Thank you for joining me in exploring the incredible values of this special celebration. If this story has touched your heart, don't forget to subscribe to the channel to continue exploring more stories about cultures, traditions, and meaningful experiences from around the world with me. Let the values of life and connection continue to spread. See you in the next video.